No, but do you guys remember when I went to Korea and there was like the airline safety? I asked my dad like, who are these like K-pop idols? And he was like, it's BTS. So I posted on my story, you know, like, damn, BTS taking over airlines too. Like 5 people. That's not BTS. Everyone's calling me out. Like, that's not BTS. Like, you are so wrong. So this is what we're gonna be building today. Comes in this fancy case. Here's the board. So this is the Aquila. It is very long. I think Spencer will be the one to run this. I don't know if they're partnering together or if they're just helping them like get content out on it. This is what we're building. Comes in this fancy case. I have built another board by Kindlestar before, but it was called the Orion. So it's a 60%, right? But you have this big rotary encoder. You have arrow keys, which is pretty nice. So if you like 60s but you want arrow keys, there is that. Here is side. So here is the back weight. And then here is what it looks like, USB side. So you can see the bezels right here. It's not like a solid piece all throughout, it is just the top piece. And then here is the front lip. Basically the specs for this board, it's called the Aquila. It can be wired or Bluetooth or 2.4 wireless. So you have tri-mode connectivity. It is gasket mounted, has VS support, RGB, it is hot swap, and it comes with the battery. Pretty interesting overall. I don't know what the pricing for this board is going to be. So you have your standard foam kit. So case foam, plate foam, PE foam. I have the hot swap PCB right here. Looks like it has the gaskets on it, the gasket tabs. So here is the PCB. Ooh, looks like there's one cut right here. I'm not quite sure why. You can see the gasket tabs. So you have the 3 up top and then the 3 on the bottom. You do have this cable right here that connects to the encoder, as I'm guessing. There is a few cuts, like one right here, one right here. I'm not sure why they did that, but they are there, but none like right on the alphas. Here you can see this is where, I'm guessing this is the wireless connectivity right here. And it does have per key. Looks like we have FR4 or Palm. You guys know how yesterday, before I ended, I asked who could stick a quarter up their nose? Well, I got in call with 4 other people and we turned on our camera and we proceeded to try and stick quarters up our nose, and confirmed instigator and ass mode can fit a quarter up their nose. I cannot. My nostrils are too small. But ass mode and instigator could actually do it. So if they ever tell you they had the booger the size of a quarter, like, you gotta believe them, because they actually could fit a quarter up their nose. So my thoughts on this board is that this is a very stiff board if you use FR4. If I could go back and build it, I mean I could, but I think if I was going to buy this board, I would probably get a softer one. I do think this is a little like stiff. I mean, I know it's gasket mounted, but I guess part of it is the switches too, but I felt like tired typing on this. So if you're someone who has like weak fingers like me, I would not recommend the FR4 plate on this one. I wonder if it's drastically different like with a softer plate. I thought the mods sounded okay. Alphas, it's alright. I don't know if like adding foam would be any better, but I would not pick FR4 plate personally for this one. I don't know when it's starting the group buy. I think they're still looking for vendors. I mean, it's definitely a novelty board, right? If you're looking for something funky, this definitely meets like that criteria. And it's Bluetooth. With how the gaskets are, I would have just gone a softer plate to make it a little bit more enjoyable for me to type on. So like I said, this is my preference. And it could be different with a different plate. In terms of like the build process, I'd say the only thing is that the JST or like the cables were a little harder to put in. It just takes like the right kind of angles, but everything else is like pretty straightforward. The board is novelty, right? You have this giant knob, you have these huge sides, like you could put stuff right here. It does have 3 different types of connectivity. Here you can see that it does not have the screws shown anywhere. And then even just like looking at the back, you can see like, oh, look at that. So it's a very like intricate. Is there an intended specific purpose for elongated sides? See, that's what I don't know. I think it might just be for like funsies. They say it's for visual balance, maybe because they have this knob and then they have this cutoff and this cutoff. I'm not sure. I'll show you guys the internals of this board. If you're looking for something funky, this definitely like reaches that realm. I honestly would not even really use these for like as arrow keys. I would use these maybe as like media keys because this knob is also so big. I think what could have been cool is if instead of doing this like arrow key cluster right here, is if they closed this side and then they made this into like a 4x4 cluster. I think that would have visually looked better. Putting that they're going for visual balance, but then this not really being symmetrical like this just kind of throws it off. But it's definitely a interesting board. So if you're looking for something like unique and not quite like everything else you might see, this board definitely like fulfills that criteria. The hardest thing about this build was connecting the knobs cable. It's a very stiff cable and not quite long enough, so that's where I struggled with. The gaskets are really like snug, and so maybe that's why. As you see, the gaskets are very snug inside the case. Yeah, personally, all I can really say is that it's a funky board. But yeah, that's the build. Yeah, pretty neat. Definitely a very novelty, showcasey type of board. Functionally, I don't know what the sides do. It does look nice. Yup. Okay,